Hello, everybody, and welcome in to Faction Wars, a New World podcast. My name is Taylar Allen. I am joined again by my friend and co-host, Stephen Fontana. Stephen, hello, welcome.
Hello, I am sad.
I know you were. So we postponed recording, just for everyone's context. We postponed recording for a day so that we had a chance to get in and play a little bit of the Winter Convergence event before we recorded the podcast.
That's correct.
And then, Stephen, what happened?
Yeah, I couldn't. I had too many family things to do. I had to take a ride with my father. My mother had her Christmas party dinner thing from work. So I wasn't able to play like I wanted to, unfortunately. So I'm going to be like some of our listeners who may or may not, have not been able to play either. I'm going to have lots of questions. So at least you'll have that perspective.
Well, Steve, today, it was a slow work day, luckily. So I was able to get in. I probably put in a good 6-7 hours today.
Jeez. Oh,
yeah,
man.
We got a good session.
You're
in
there. You are in there.
So we've got all kinds of stories, all kinds of new stuff.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to go into it. But before we do, this is Faction Wars, a New World podcast. The #1 podcast hosted by people that you don't know, with the latest news, tips, tricks, and stories from Eternum.
It's true.
Let's run into it. I think everyone knows
the
rundown at this point. They're familiar with us.
Yes, but if it's your first time, just, buckle in and, you don't have to listen to the previous episodes, but it's not like a linear story, but, you can if you want to support us. And we're now live on Apple Podcasts, finally. The approval process is completed. So if you're listening,
that was a pain in the ass.
It was a big pain in the balls. It turned out the reason why was I never received the automatic email saying that it was waiting to be submitted. So the way it works is like you put your RSS feed into Apple, right? And then you hit save, and then it needs usually anywhere between 1 and 5 days, or I think they actually say 5 and 14, but it's usually never 2 weeks, for it to show up in your shows, in your profile. Like, it's not public, but it has to pull all of the information from the RSS. It has to pull the picture, it has to pull the title, and everything, all the metadata it has to pull. So usually you get an update from Apple from the email that you used, and it says, hey, it's ready to be, submitted. I didn't get any of those. So I never really bothered to look in the thing. I was just like, all right, it's just taking a little longer. So finally I just said, you know what, maybe I did something wrong. So I logged in, and lo and behold, the 3 shows were there, but Faction Wars had to wait longer because the picture was off by 50 pixels. It just
really?
It was weird. And I don't know why, because I had the correct resolution picture. It just, though, I guess when I dragged it into the Podbean thing, it was just not, I just dragged the wrong one, or maybe a draft of it or something. I don't know. So, but I had the correct one on the computer, so I had to wait an extra day for that information to update. Because if you tried to submit for actual review with a bad sized picture, it would reject it. So, yeah, we're finally up there. No communication from Apple. Thanks a lot. Thanks for nothing. And
Apple, I have learned, is a pain in the ass to deal with on every front. The App Store, podcasts, iTunes, it's all a nightmare.
Everything sucks. If you forget your password, you might as well just make a new account. There's no point into trying to reset your password with Apple. It's I have 9 different ways for them to send me a code. I don't know which one they're choosing. They don't tell you. It's oh, you didn't get a thing? Click here to get it as a message. Okay. And it sends it to 3 iPads ago. You're like, what is happening? Why are we doing this? Stop it.
This is not the one I selected. Quit it.
No. Anyway, Yeah, so we're on there. So if you are listening on that platform, please consider leaving us a review if the reviews are available to you. It usually takes a couple of days of the show being live before that is. But if it is, please do so. And Taylor, while you're going to get us into the nitty gritty here, I'm going to let my cat out because she's scratching at the door like a beast, like an animal. Go ahead. You do the thing.
Yes, absolutely. And really quickly before we jump in, Stephen mentioned our 2 other shows as well. Faction Wars is a part of the Dual Screens Network. We've got a couple other shows. We do Crossplay Podcast, which is a like video game news show that's weekly. So if you're interested in that at all, check out Crossplay Podcast. And then the Dual Screens Podcast, we have interviewed well over 300 indie developers, voice actors, and other members of the game development industry. And that show's absolutely incredible. That is like our flagship show. So if you're interested in any of that, check that out. That's the Crossplay Podcast and the Dual Screens Podcast.
It's true.
All right, Steven,
all of it's true.
Let's jump in. We've got a big show. Lots of good stuff coming in. Winter Convergence is finally here. So we've talked about this for the last couple of episodes because it's been live on the PTR, right? We've talked about the end game changes and some of the changes come into the weapons and how crafting was fucked and then now it's unfucked and all of that, right? I want to just jump in, talk about my experience with Winter Convergence, talk about the event that they have going on, some of the cool new POIs in the world, and overall how this update feels. So bullet point number 1 with this update, there's snow everywhere now.
Lovely.
Snow all over the place, big old Christmas trees, presents along the side of every road. Like
one might say winter has converged.
Yeah, it is Festivus for the rest of us, right?
You'll love to see it.
And the main like seasonal event is the Winter Convergence Festival, where you talk to this giant Yeti who wants you to gather presents in exchange for tokens that you can use to like get gear. You can get unique consumables. You can get cosmetics. Like there's a ton of stuff. They've got a bunch of cool like Frozen themed furniture and stuff. So that's really cool. And they send you all over the map. You're killing these Yetis. You're finding presents. You're doing all kinds of stuff. That is like big thing number 1. On top of that, they've got new town board quests that you can use that will gain reputation with this Yeti that'll allow you to get better stuff.
Ooh.
So it works almost exactly like your territory standing, right? So you do the town board quest, it goes up. You find a present, it goes up. And as you get to each of the levels, you gain new things that you can unlock. It's actually a lot closer to like the faction stuff. So you've got like the 5 different tiers or whatever.
Right. Is the Yeti voiced?
I don't know. It's a...
I'm just curious because I have a voice in my head now. Maybe? And I'm like, I really hope he has a voice or it has a voice. They have a voice.
I think so. I think he just like kind of grunts at you.
Interesting. Okay.
I don't think he like all of the lines are voiced. I could be totally wrong. For whatever reason, I just like did not pay attention to that at all.
Paying attention is hard.
Like I said, I was playing during the workday today, which we don't tell my boss. But I do that on occasion.
Don't say it. Don't do it.
So
listeners,
I may have not even had my headphones on for the game just so I could like hear my Slack notifications if they went off or something on my laptop, you know?
Yep, it makes sense.
So yeah, I'm not 100% sure. It's cool though. There are these camps all over the place with this like spirit of the convergence or whatever. And he's very cool. There's lots of stuff for you to find, ice caves, loot, all of that. This is going to be going on until January 11th as well. So we've got a couple of weeks.
That's short, man. I know it's still weeks, but like, I don't know, that seems short unless they're going to do like a love one, you know, like a old, I don't know, hearts and shit.
Day one.
Like keep the winter aesthetic, but just put like hearts and Cupid and whatever.
Sure.
Like little gremlin Cupids. like they're just ugly as sin, but they're like, we like loves. We want more. And you just do little love quests. That'd be cool.
Like little little fiend looking things.
Yeah, that would be dope.
Yeah. Yeah, so that gives us about 3.5 weeks
Yeah.
to do this. And the ice caves are going to be staying forever.
Ooh,
So
I do have a question though. You
yeah.
you went over it very quickly, but I want to know
Mhm.
something specific. So you said crafting is fixed; it's working, and I heard from one of our listeners and one of our friends, one of our dual screens contributors, Miss Envy, that she was not able to craft at all. Like it would just not work. It would
Yeah.
whatever fail or whatever.
Mhm.
And is finally able to do that. And I think she got to like level 50 without crafting anything.
Yeah.
So that's impressive. But
yeah, so that
how is it
crafting
fixed?
bug has been around for a while. So the bug was that if your ping to the server spiked for any reason while you were crafting, um, your character, to avoid like duplicating resources, I think they have a failsafe in there that would make them like disengage kind of from the crafting station, but you wouldn't be able to tell that that happened until you actually clicked the craft button, and then it would just disappear and the craft would cancel out. So it wasn't like an automatic thing. So if you don't have great connection to these AWS servers, and there's only like 4 in the US, right? So if you live in the middle of the country or like far, way northeast or whatever, like the connections to the server aren't great to begin with.
Yeah.
And so if you had bad ping, you were just getting kicked from these stations every time you tried to craft. It didn't matter if you relogged a million times, it didn't matter what your settings were at. And obviously, like if you're playing on Wi-Fi, that made it worse.
Yeah, that
Versus if you were
sucks.
hardwired or whatever. But they fixed that. They kind of adjusted that fail safe a little bit so that it made it so that people can more consistently craft, which is nice. I know that was one that was very frustrating for a lot of people. I had to deal with that a lot too. It wasn't every time, but it happened frequent enough.
Yeah, that would drive
So,
me bananas.
yeah, it wasn't fun, but very happy to see that. A lot of bug fixes. There were a lot of bugs recently where resources wouldn't populate in if you fast traveled.
Yeah.
Like you could still see them, but you would walk up to them and you would just like walk through the tree. You couldn't like interact with it at all and chop it down. It just like it didn't exist. It was very frustrating. So they fixed that. They fixed a lot of stability stuff. I played a lot of Outpost Rush today. Outpost Rush feels like it is playing way better. Now, granted, I didn't play a ton of Outpost Rush prior, but I played a fair share, right? I've probably played 35, 40 matches, something like that. Enough to, get a good idea of what it feels like.
Sure.
And since the update, I think I played 3 or 4 matches today. It feels super responsive. In those chaotic group battles, it feels like you're lagging out way less often, which is really nice. I can't say that it for sure is, but at least on a feel basis, it feels way better. A couple of other tweaks and changes that they made. We're not going to get into all of the weapon changes. Notable things here. We had a slight nerf on the Great Axe, so you're doing a little bit less crit damage. And the rapier and the bow had animation overhauls that make them feel way better.
Ooh,
Now, have
nice.
you played around with the rapier or the bow?
Yeah, I was a rapier. That was my first main weapon before I switched to spears. So
The
yeah.
rapier had its homing fixed on a lot of weapons.
That
Um,
it was hard, man. Like when you would
Yeah.
swipe, it would just like the animation would take you to the left, and then when you tried to swipe again, it would swipe in that left turn direction, and it was like really difficult to kind of keep it sturdy.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I said a lot of weapons, a lot of attacks. So
the attacks.
they've made it so that those animations just feel a little bit better. And the bow, Steven, let me tell you about the bow.
Tell me about the bow.
It is night and day. So if you haven't used the bow before, frequently, you would have your crosshair on an enemy and do like the triple shot attack or just a regular light attack or whatever, and it would miss wide left by a couple of inches all the time. It was probably 1 in every 6 or 7 shots, right?
Interesting.
It would just like go wide left of your crosshair, even if you're aiming down sights or whatever. On top of that, the responsiveness of your light attacks and stuff, and like going from using an ability to dodging and stuff, all felt really clunky. There was this like dead time between doing things with the bow that wasn't there with a lot of other weapons. Like with a lot of weapons, you can use an ability and then animation cancel into a roll or a dodge or something
Right.
and get out of it or whatever. With the bow, you were like locked in. Totally overhauled that. It feels way more responsive. It feels like my shots are hitting a lot more often. Um, they've totally improved the abilities of all of your aim down sight shots too, which
Mm.
is incredible. Um, so bow and rapier just feel great to play now. Super, super happy with it. Outside of that, there haven't really been a ton of other weapon changes. A couple of like slight tweaks for abilities that weren't working as intended, like burnout for the fire staff. People were using that to like scale mountains. They made it so that you can't climb up slopes and stuff
Come
with that now.
on, just let us do things, man. Did they fix the flying bug?
I don't know. I haven't tested it.
Did we
I
talk about that
should.
on the show?
I think so. If we didn't, last week I found a like almost 100% replicable bug where if I'm sitting in a chair in my friend's house and then press L to go out of it and then mantle over something, I just like clip through the entire map and can fly forever. I think we did talk about it last week, but I haven't tested it yet. I'll need to give that a shot and see if that's still in the game. But the like falling through the earth stuff that was happening before seems like it's happening way less often,
Mm,
which is really nice.
that's
But
good. That's good to
overall,
see.
no like huge noticeable bugs outside of a couple of like wonky UI things. But like it feels really good. Like
Okay.
it's not super broken, which I'm
That
excited
this is
about.
good news, folks. This is
Yeah.
good news. You know, when a major
Uh,
update comes around, you're usually like, "All right, let's see what you broke."
mm-hmm.
It
The
seems like,
only
yeah.
the only big thing that I've noticed is I thought there was a bug in the game where it didn't cost me Azoth to fast travel.
Mm-hmm.
So I abused the shit out of that, right? I
Mm-hmm.
loaded up my bag, fast traveled all these different places so that I could, move some inventory around for free because I thought there was a bug and I wanted to take advantage of it before they fixed it. Um, Turns out it's just a UI bug and they
Oh
don't
no.
take your Azoth in for a couple of minutes, right?
Uh-oh.
So for like 15, 20 minutes, I was fast traveling all over the place. And then I go to fast travel and it says I have 980 Azoth. And I click on the button and it's like, you don't have enough Azoth. I was like, oh no,
Uh-oh.
I've made a fatal error. I got down, I'm not kidding. I got down to like 25 Azoth. So I was like,
Nice.
I've got to hoof it. Luckily, with some of the changes to endgame crafting progression, Azoth is super easy to come by.
Mm.
So just a reminder, we talked about this a little bit. For every crafting trade skill that you get up to 200, you can now over level that, and they'll track that.
Mm.
They have the like little circle that tracks, how much progress you've made, split up into 3 equal sections. For each section, you get a little chest that has stuff in it. It almost always has the vial of suspended Azoth, and it usually has like 1 or 2. So,
Ooh.
um,
You'll love to see
yeah,
that.
I hit 2 mining chests today alone. Like just going about and mining stuff while I was doing other shit. Like I wasn't trying to level it. I just happened to do it. It was super super easy. So I think Azoth is going to be a lot easier to come by now, but these chests, Steve. These chests are fucking crazy. So I opened it. Very first mining one, right? I get 4 tolvium, which is one
Mm.
of the like legendary crafting materials that you need to craft like 600 gear score weapons.
Sure.
Like you get
4 of them.
8.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get 8 every once in a while as you're mining orichalcum. And you have to have your luck at like the right point and stuff. I did it for like smacking rocks and iron for an hour. It it's awesome. And then I got one for harvesting, and I got some shade cloth, which is the legendary harvesting material that you can get from wire fiber. Like, they are throwing out legendary resources like they're candy. These things are
Yeah, I
nuts.
mean, if you're level 200, you put the work in there and you're still doing it, like, okay, yeah, legendary is a word I'd use. Like,
Yeah.
you're a legendary crafter or whatever, harvester of that item. Like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you give me some cool stuff. But
It
that's been their issue, right? Like
mm-hmm.
their issue has been when you do the thing, when you get to be powerful and almighty, there's very little else for you to really achieve. Giving you this little carrot, as it were, is I think it's a much easier way than raising a level cap or something like that, where now balance is an issue, or you know, or tweaking over again how gear works and scales and yada yada. It's like, no, we don't need to do the math. We don't need a big math problem here. Just give us more stuff that we can use to have more fun. Like, that's it's you got to remember, it's a video game still. Like, it's still a video game. That's the point of this. We're not trying to build a new society on, like Mars. Like, that's not what we're doing here. We're not trying to come up with some sort of governing rules of physics and economy. Like, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's good that you're thinking about that stuff, but like, can you make the game fun first? Like, give us stuff for doing things. It's important.
It feels so rewarding.
Yeah.
Like, so much more rewarding than the nothing that you got prior. So I'm super happy with it so far. Now, I don't know how it feels as a crafter. If you've got like 200 weaponsmithing or whatever, I don't know if it's as rewarding, leveling that weaponsmithing or furnishing. Like, furnishing is notoriously such a pain in the ass to try and level up to 200. I don't know if it's worth it to get those, but for your basic gathering ones, at least, it is super, super rewarding, and it feels awesome.
Yeah, I can't figure out why they made fishing so fucking hard to level.
Yeah, fishing and furnishing are gonna be the death of me on that no death run character.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I will die to that way before I die to an enemy in this game, because it takes so fucking long to level it.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah. Just to recap the other end game changes that they made, I'm loving the expertise system. That's what they changed the like high watermark gear score system to. It's very nice to see what I can expect drops to be at for my gear.
Right.
They added a bunch of random jewelry that you can get, because before it was only unique jewelry that would drop. You couldn't get just like a random roll necklace, right? It was only like these specific jewelry sets that you would get from doing certain things. So
Right.
adding that to the loot pool feels really nice. They added a bunch of new looking weapons, new types, not types of weapons, but like weapon skins and stuff like that I think all look very good. The gypsum system feels fantastic. It feels very rewarding. That's the thing. Like, all of this stuff feels like it's rewarding you for interacting with all of the different components of the game, which I'm super, super happy about. So
That and like I just like got finished saying, like, that's the point, right? Like, that when you and I really first started messing with this game, and the reason why I stuck with it and said, oh yeah, this could definitely be a game that I play on a consistent basis, was it has an instant serotonin release. Like, it has, you're doing so much so often and just seeing numbers go up and you're getting stuff, and then people found exploits and started to take advantage of a system, and then all of a sudden the things that you were getting that were tickling that serotonin or releasing it became fewer and fewer, and in some cases became kind of just not fun anymore. And it's really important that they get back to that. Because I think that's the strongest thing about this game is that, yeah, the story's not great. There's not a lot. The world still needs a lot more building done to it. But it has that gameplay loop that works so well, and they got to keep building on that gameplay loop.
A couple of other adjustments that I think help that gameplay loop. In the November patch Into the Void, they overtuned pretty much every elite zone in the game. They made every elite zone more difficult, added like twice as much health pool to all of these enemies. They scaled that back. So it's at a nice place now in between where it was at launch and where it was post November update, to where these elite zones still feel challenging but feel doable, and feel rewarding for like putting the effort in to actually go through and like clear them out. So super happy with those as well. I ran through a couple of the new 66 plus elite zones today. So that's the Imperial Palace. They bumped up to 66. And then they upped Malevolence in Eden Grove up to 66. They both feel very good. They're super rewarding. It's nice to have a little bit of variety so that everyone isn't just like running as a horde through the mines and through Mirkgard and Shattered Mountain. Like there's more rewarding areas to go to, which I'm super happy about.
Yeah, it fans people out a little bit.
Yep. And adds variety. So it's not running the same chest route every day and that's it, you know? Like it gives you more stuff to do, which I'm happy about. Yeah. They also added a lot more stuff to do for people as they're leveling through the quest, which is awesome. So, thing number one, Stephen, I don't know if you remember in like episode 1 or 2, you talked about a specific main story quest that you had a big issue with. Do you remember what that is?
Nope.
The bear repellent. You remember this?
Oh yes, that was annoying.
The bear repellent. Guess what? They changed it.
Wow. Do you have to deliver it to more people now?
No. So they said in the patch notes, they've improved the level design, added new tasks associated with actually acquiring the ingredients for the bear repellent. It's like exactly what you asked for.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Maybe they're listening to the show.
What if they are, dude?
What if they take my weapon ideas?
Well, I mean, they're already going to. We've already sent them to Jeff Bezos, so.
I know.
I don't think there's any way that they don't. But one of the biggest things that I am super excited for my No Death Run character, and you should be excited for as well, is there was this mission, like the second to last mission in the game for the main story quest, called Destiny Unearthed, where you had to fight this big ass fucking like plant monster, right?
Man.
Thing was huge. It had like 3 million health.
Oh.
You had to go in there. When I did it within the first like 2 weeks of the game coming out. When I did it, I went in there with a group of 15 people, and it like people were still getting knocked out, right?
That's awesome.
Like it was intense. It was tough. But as more and more people progress up to level 60 and complete the main story quest, that's one of those quests that you can't go back to. So once I do it, I can't go back through the little fog gate to help my friend out who's trying to finish the story quest.
Interesting.
They've made it so that quest is totally soloable now. Soloable. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Which I'm so happy about. Weeks ago, I was telling our guild, get this done as soon as you possibly can, because once there's not enough people to do it, you're fucked. You're never going to be able to beat this thing.
Makes sense.
Huge nerf. It's soloable now. I think that's absolutely awesome for people who, were late starters or are just getting the game for the first time.
Right.
It's going to be good. And then on top of that, Steve, they added 16 new quests to the Morningdale area and 13 to Restless Shores. Let me repeat.
Those are good areas.
29 new quests to those areas. And then on top of
that's
that,
great.
they added 7 more housing quests that send you all over the starting areas as well, that teach you about like furnishing and decor and stuff.
They definitely needed that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they needed that because that's like, I don't, excuse me, I don't give like two shits about my house. I just use it as a recall place. But yeah, like really teaching people the ins and outs, like your tip for a couple of episodes ago about storage in the house and the trophies and like all that fun stuff. Like knowing about that in the beginning of the game would really encourage you to try and buy your first house.
Yep.
Because I didn't buy my first house till I was like level 35.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just didn't care. I would just, oh look, there's an exclamation point. Let's do it. Oh, there's a diamond. Let's do it. You know, whatever. Excuse me. Just goodness. But yeah, that's really smart. Like you got to teach these systems early on, separated. Like they need to be separate, but they need to be early on enough where the player is looking to absorb that information.
Yeah, I agree. I jumped into that quest line a little bit today. I like it. It's super nice. I'm really happy with these quest changes. Giving more stuff for people, I think 9 times out of 10 is always going to be a good call.
Totes my goats.
Super happy about that. Last thing with questing. They overhauled the marker system and the like quest marker thing. So now you get unique markers for like weapon and armor crafting quests. They added a bunch of different subsections to the journal for different types.
Yeah, that's smart.
Having
112 side quests was never really helpful to me.
Yeah. It just makes it easier to read and understand and get into. So I'm super happy about that. They've also changed the UI a little bit. The menu looks a little bit different. I think it looks cleaner. I'm really happy with it. So I think those are all of the big changes. There are obviously like enemy UI changes, things like that. One last big thing. I'm sorry.
No.
For refining.
Oh.
You know how I said they're handing out these legendary mats like they're candy,
They
right?
were, yeah. Yeah, I remember you saying that. It was a few minutes ago.
Just recently. A few minutes ago, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're handing it out like candy on Halloween because you can now use any tier 5 raw material to craft a legendary material.
Oh, okay.
So previously you just had to get drops of it, right? But now you can go out and you can harvest your wire fiber, your ironwood, your orichalcum ore, and you can combine
ironwood.
Yes, ironwood. That's like the big, like dark red.
No, like I know it's a thing, but it seems like that's a weird word.
Sure.
Yes.
Sure. Your tier 5 rawhide, which I have like over 1,000 in my Windsward storage because I can't refine it down. You can combine those once you get to 200 of whichever refining skill. You can combine 250 of the raw material to make 1 legendary material. So it makes it even easier to get these legendary materials. You get 250 orichalcum ore, which sounds like a lot, but really isn't that hard to get. You can make a tolvium. So even if you don't get the lucky drops of the tolvium while you're mining it, you know you're guaranteed to make one. So
there you go, players. Now you can make things.
Yeah. Super, super nice.
I think gold is about the highest thing I've made.
Yeah.
Like as far as metals. But I'm getting there, man. I'm getting there. I actually really want to play right now. You're giving me that itch. I have a bid due at work tomorrow, and I'm like, how tired can I be and still get that done? Is the question of the day. You know what I mean?
Yes. I'm gonna be honest. I think I'm gonna stay up pretty late and play tonight, Steve.
I think I'm gonna play. I'm gonna play while editing this show. So let's talk about these last couple of items here.
Okay.
Let's get through
We'll
this.
move through it. Oh, I wanted to mention one other quick thing. They did add a bunch of new perks into the game. So if you see new perk adding materials or new perks on random weapons that drop, you're not crazy. Those are new. It's mostly around like efficiency for harvesting. They've added a bunch of plague, which reduces the effect of health, like healing and stuff. They've added a bunch of cool
There's
perks,
things
so
to play with.
yeah, if you want to read up on that, go look at the patch notes, but I'm happy with those. All right, thing number 2, Steven. With the Winter Convergence update, we have a bunch of cosmetics being given away for free. Now, the big caveat here, these start December 17th. So, this podcast will likely go live December 17th.
That's correct.
So, you need to get on it. Make sure you're
on top
signing
of
into
it.
the game
Yep.
every 2 days so you're getting these. So, on the 17th through the 18th, you can get 2 pink I always say this wrong. Poinsettia.
Oh, okay.
The like Christmassy flowers.
Yeah, poinsettias.
You get, yeah, those.
Mm-hmm.
And a hunter's festive coat, which looks like a nice like Santa Clausy coat.
I like that. That's good. Cozy.
Yeah.
Very nice. It has room in the sleeves for magic.
Yep. December 19th and 20th, you get the boots and the pants for that set.
Okay, we're building a Santa Claus. I like it.
Yep. For the 21st and the 22nd, you get the gloves and you get mistletoe for your house.
Oh.
That you can hang up over your door.
We's going to make out.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
For the 23rd and the 24th, you get the shiver emote.
Baby, it's cold out there.
Yep. And then the 25th through the 27th, you get the hat as well as a wreath. So
Cute.
all this stuff is free. You just
Cute
have
stuff.
to make sure that you sign
up and
on
log
those
in.
Days. Yep, there we go.
That's cute.
Sign up on those days and claim them. They're all going to be free in the store. Make sure you do that. Limited time, TM.
TM.
And then the last thing, there have been 2 big things we've talked about on the last couple of weeks of the show, right? It's been the coming of the Winter Convergence, and it's been server merges. You were famously very critical of the idea of these server merges.
Yes. Something is going to break. And it turns out I was right, by the way. But I'll get into that in a second.
I think you said, and I quote, "They're gonna fuck this up."
Yes. That is very close.
So they have been merging servers like it's their fucking job, which I guess.
Yeah, it is totally their job. So yeah, good work.
But they've been like shooting these batches out, right? They've been doing a lot of these big server merges too, where they combine 6 or 7 servers into one server. And these have been going off surprisingly with very few hitches. They had one. Server merge.
I just had this thought of the merge happening, and like a character or an NPC like using the bathroom or something, and like walks out and there's no more players in their little world.
Just gone.
And they're like, "What the shit happened?" And like Thanos is just sitting there like, "Well, you know, we had to do the thing." I don't know why I pictured that of like coming out and there's just nobody in the world. All the animals rejoice. All right. Anyway, continue. I'm sorry. It tickled me a little bit.
Yeah. So there's been one small issue with one of these server merges. On a South American server, they had a situation where about 15% of the player base lost their characters.
Oh, fuck.
For like 8 hours.
That's a whole... I mean... Damn. That's a day's work right there.
Think about how long they had like the EU servers down when that trading post shit happened, though. When they send out the hundreds of thousands of gold to people that they weren't supposed to.
Yeah.
That shit was down for a week and a half. I think in the grand scheme of things, 8 hours, that's a win. For one of these merges, they've done like 6 or 7 now.
But now, yes, they've been doing, I admit, they've been doing this fairly well, getting high marks, However, it was today. Today? Or was it yesterday? It might have been yesterday. Yesterday, as they were getting this together, the AWS outage was hit across the entire country. So everything using one of them AWS servers or whatever made a big poop. And you got to know it was their fault. There's no doubt in my mind it was their fault.
You think?
Yes.
I feel like this game is a drop in the bucket to AWS.
It is. You're not wrong. It is not even a drop in a bucket. It is one BB thrown into the ocean. Like, it is nothing, but it's New World. And everything they do screws something up somewhere. So
you think instead of the server merges, like, fucking up the actual server merging process, you think it fucked up all of AWS?
Yeah, they were like, server, merge, execute, yes. And all the servers were like, you sure?
All of the AWS servers just like merged into one hive.
Like, all right, man. No, are you sure? Because Grandpa Bezos is supposed to be here to turn the key, but you're turning the key. And they just put like the wrong, they logged into the wrong fucking little thing, and they're just
the back end guys at Amazon Game Studios like accidentally got like admin access when they definitely shouldn't have. That's a command prompt. They have the whole thing up. They're like, all right, guys, we're gonna merge the servers. All the planes in the air that are using it for like their instruments are like, okay. What the fuck is happening?
We're all landing in Houston.
Yep.
It was just pandemonium for like 34 straight minutes. But they worked it out. Thankfully, there are fail safes for these kinds of things, and Amazon Game Studios had their nuclear codes taken away, and the servers are no longer merging.
They got unfucked, luckily. As someone who has to work with a platform that uses AWS for like my actual for real job, that day was fucking wild. Yeah. Like, it just couldn't do anything. It was nuts.
One of the things that my job uses AWS servers, and it was like, so we didn't know it was happening. This is a big tangent, but like the program that I use is web-based. So I basically can upload documents with a drag and drop. So you would drag it, it would drop, it would give you like the notification like, okay, it's uploading, and the little wheel would spin, and then the percentage will go up. And what was happening was the percentage was going up because I guess it's probably just a visual thing. It's not like based on reality. I don't know. But anyway, the thing would go up, and then the page would refresh, and nothing would be in there. I'd be like, okay, I know that I'm drag. So like I'll drag again. It'll do the whole thing. All the folders will be there. Page will refresh all by itself, and nothing's in there. And this happened for a good hour, where I was like, I was control F5ing, and then I realized when I went onto the computer or my phone, it was like, oh yes, major server, outage for AWS. I was like, oh yeah, like I forgot. That's probably that. Yeah. But anyway, our server though not on the list. Not on the list. Did not make the cut.
Not on. I was hoping they just announced that they were going to be merging a bunch more servers for US East, US West, and EU Central today. I don't think they have announced the server list for the most recent ones, but they did do a couple of US East ones recently. Went off without a hitch. So I'm excited. I think server merges are gonna give a shot in the arm to this game. And really help kick the economy into a good place.
Very exciting.
Stephen.
Yep.
Every week.
Every week.
You give me something to go and pitch to Papa Bezos.
I do.
What is our weapon of the week this week?
This one is the big boy. This one is the up close and personal melee weapon. That is also a gun.
Okay.
Give me the Blunderbuss.
Oh, Stephen, do you know?
No, I don't know.
The Blunderbuss has been data mined.
Oh my. Let me tell you, cone damage like really close up, just spread.
Yeah.
Massive piercing damage with all sorts of pellets. I want it, man. And not only that, but I want a ability, because it's an up close and personal. Like, you got to be there. A blunderbuss is not for, I would say 10 meters is like the max.
Yeah.
But I want to treat it like a melee weapon. So I want there to be abilities of like raising the butt of the gun and just like nailing dudes in the chin, or like,
oh yeah, and
just
like cross them.
Yeah, like cross checking them like a hockey stick. And then because it's a blunderbuss, it can't shoot like rapid fire, but it could shoot here. Now here's where we're getting silly. Okay. What if we added to it elemental rounds?
I was just thinking that.
Yeah, like you could shoot like fire pellets or ice pellets, and then
there's an ability where you like just put a bunch of shrapnel in there and it causes like bleed damage.
Yeah. What if you use now? Listen to this. What if you can use your scrap,
like your repair parts?
Your actual repair parts as like ammo?
As like a crafting material for ammo?
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting. I'm excited, man. I think the blunderbuss is going to be really cool.
I don't see how it's not. I don't understand how it wasn't in the game already.
Yeah.
That and like a flintlock.
Yeah. Especially because so many enemies have that.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. 100%.
So
that's it.
I'm on board.
Get it done.
It sounds like, according to these data miners, I spend a lot of time on the New World subreddit, by the way.
I like it.
So
you are the host of a New World podcast. So.
Yeah. So I dig into this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like of the weapons that have been data mined, the blunderbuss is one of the closer ones to being ready. Maybe we see that, early next year. If they keep the update pace that they've been on from like the alpha, the beta through the release of the game, they've been putting out big updates like pretty consistently.
Right.
Like during the closed beta, they put out an update that had a couple of new weapons like every month. So, or sorry, not the closed beta, the closed alpha. So back in the alpha days, they were putting stuff out all the time. So if they can keep that pace, I'll be very impressed. All right,
I'm down.
We're gonna jump into our tips and tricks of the week.
I love it.
This one is winter convergence themed. So as I was running about my merry way, finding all these presents on the side of the road, I noticed floating up in the sky a glowing orb.
Oh.
And I wondered to myself, what is this? What is this glowing orb? So, naturally, I shot it.
Of course.
Lo and behold, 20 presents come flying down.
Whoa!
Which is a lot. Like, if you go to the little spawns on the side of the road, you get one.
Yeah.
So, that was like a big deal. Keep an eye out for those floating presents. You'll be able to level up your faction
your
rep
Yeti
with the Yeti. You'll be able to gain a bunch of presents, which will allow you to craft the coins to get all the stuff from the Yeti store. So floating presents, super, super valuable. Keep an eye out for them. I found one just like right outside of Brightwood. So yeah, just look. They're everywhere. They're all over the place.
I wonder if there's going to be a competition to get them first. Like frickin' bunnies when everybody started playing the game.
Oh, like a Easter egg hunt.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
All right, Stephen, let's get out of here so
yes.
you can go play some New World.
Let's do the thing.
Thank you all so much for listening in. This has been Faction Wars, a New World podcast. If you would like to support the podcast, make sure, as Stephen mentioned at the top, leave us a review on iTunes. Go and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And like the videos if you're watching over there. And if you want to support us even more, you can over on our Patreon, which is patreon.com/NDS podcasts. Just like our Patreon producers, Colton, the Apprentice Nestler, FNH Paul, and Vegas Girl on Fire. We could not do this show without you guys. Thank you so much for all of your support. And until next time, keep killing those Yetis.
Yeti.